over 3 months ago, May 15th to be exact, right after the official NFL schedule was released, I did, as everyone else does at that time of year, a full game-by-game schedule prediction. Looked something like this. 11-6 is how I had the Seahawks going. Kind of an uneven start. Had them winning 3 out of their first 6. Splitting their first 6, I guess, would be a better way to say that. My view on this team has changed. I believe their ceiling has changed. Total spoiler alert, I know. But what I'm getting at is coming up next, I'm going to revise my schedule prediction now that I know this team better and I know their opponents better. What do I have them finishing now? Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Seahawks Forever podcast. In-depth analysis on everything Seahawks. And now, here's your host, Dan Viens.
Let's do it, you guys. Hit that thumbs up button for the video. Subscribe to the channel. Just by watching the video, you are doing the most basic and the best thing that you can do to help assist me as a full-time independent content creator covering the Seahawks. All the other ways that you can support me and contribute are listed and linked down below in the description. Just a little reminder as well, this will be the last show for a few days, hitting the road again tomorrow, heading back here for the next month or so. Anyway, a little South Charleston, West Virginia there for you. Love all the rivers and bridges there, and I'm really excited to see the changing of the leaves in the fall. Probably spend about a month there, and then it's likely that we'll end up spending the winter into the spring in Arizona, and then may come back up to Seattle after that. May try to come back up and cover the draft. Just in case you wonder what I'm talking about, little update. I chose not to move forward with continuing to pursue in-season credentials. Don't know what the final answer would have been. Felt like it was trending that way. Felt positive. Had some great conversations with Dave Pearson and some folks there at the Seahawks. And I thanked them and let them know that in the best interest of my channel, my audience, myself, it would be best to remain independent for now. And they were incredibly gracious. So they really appreciated having me around, that I'm welcome back anytime. And if I want to cover any particular game, they would give me access to that. So you might see me back up in Seattle later in the year for some important games. I'm thinking week 16, which, my goodness, we'll just spend a second talking about this again, will we? Won't we? Maybe we shouldn't. The uniform thing, I don't know. A lot of people are fired up about it, and I get it. I understand it. I'm not a UW fan. I understand the crossover and why that might be a turnoff. I just think they're good-looking jerseys. Am I going to buy one? Am I going to spend $150 on something that they're only going to wear once? Doubt it. Might buy one of the hoodies, though. Saw some pictures of those that came out, and those are maybe y'all can handle those a little bit better. Just the gray and the cool iridescent green with the 12. I may go that route. Anyway, without further ado, let's get to this will be a short one, but just wanted to leave you with something to mull over in case you're bored or just a little bit tired, coming back from the weekend, setting the tent up, pulling it down again, cooking, all that kind of stuff. This, just as a reminder again, this is how I had it the first time, and just some of my rationalization at the time. The reason I had them getting off to kind of an uneven start is, despite the fact that we saw Clint Kubiak in his first year in New Orleans last year get off to that unbelievable start with the Saints offense, scoring over 90 points those first 2 games, I just wanted to bake in some conservatism. I wanted to bake in some caution, because the NFL is a tough place to win. It's real easy for us as fans in the offseason to throw around, and we've done a lot of it here on the channel in some live shows. It's a 13-win team. This team can win 14 games. You're obviously going to see, if you haven't figured it out already, I'm incredibly optimistic about this team, and I think their arrow's trending upwards. But it's a tough league to win in. You're always going to lose a game or two that you should win. You're probably, if you're a good to slightly better than good team in the NFL anyway, even the bad teams in the NFL, you're going to win some games that you might not expect to win either. There's always a couple of weeks a year where we are reminded of the harsh reality of the NFL, which is it's not always about who has the best roster. It's not always about who has the generally agreed upon better talent. It's about who plays the best that day. And that might sound overly basic, but it's true. It's one of the things that I love so much about football. You get the whole week, you get all the anticipation, the build-up, and the analysis, and the over-analysis, and then you get to game day, and there's always this feeling when I'm in the stadium, even when I'm watching it on TV, there's always this moment right before kickoff where I kind of go through this very quick, almost instantaneous process of, what are we going to get today? What are we going to get today? Are we going to come out and lay an egg? Or is this the day we put everything together and we smoke this team? Something we haven't seen enough of over the last 10, 15 years, even during their good times. Anyone who knows the Seahawks knows they love to play close games, no matter how much better or worse they're supposed to be than their opposition, right? And then that moment is kind of what helps center me for the game and at the same time get me excited about it. It's what I love about sports. It's what I think we all love about sports. It's really the only truly unscripted entertainment. We don't know the outcome. And when you think you know what the outcome's going to be, that's, again, when the NFL reminds you that you don't. And we see more of this week one than we do any other time in the year, but we see it throughout the year too. There always seems to be, say in college football too, there always seems to be a week about a third to halfway into the season where some teams relax, some teams feel a little too good about themselves, some other teams kind of figure out who they are that are coming up and start putting things together. And that's kind of what I tried to build into this in my first projection was try not to be too much of a homer, as is easy to do. Try to be realistic. And so that's what I tried to do. My reasoning for them losing in Pittsburgh week 2 was such a young team. And that certainly came to fruition. 32 players on their rookie contracts on the initial 53-man roster, 12 rookies, right? 9 draft picks or 8 draft picks, 4 undrafted free agents. Incredibly young roster. Can't wait to see those lists come out with the rankings once somebody does all the legwork and tabulates all the average ages out there. And even though I've all offseason, I was bullish on the changes they made on offense, it was a lot of changes. And so I wanted to kind of weave in some realistic expectations about growing pains. And also, some teams are good. And I expected it's going to be the Steelers home opener. That place is going to be rocking. When you look online, and we've thought about going because it'll be a 3.5 hour drive away. I might be there week 2, but nosebleeds are $200. Like, they are not selling their tickets. That place is going to be jam-packed and rocking. And despite my misgivings about what the heck they think they're doing with Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback, it's just not going to be the same version that we've ever seen of Aaron Rodgers before. And some concerns about some of their skill positions. That defense is going to be good. And I thought the combination of first road trip, 10 a.m. game, young roster, changes on offense, going up against a really good defense in Pittsburgh, thought that would be an L. When you get to weeks 4 and 5, and I've got them losing back-to-back games, at some point this year, they're probably going to lose back-to-back games. I hope I'm wrong, but it's likely they will. So when's that going to happen? That was part of it. The other part of it was still early, right? Still maybe some growing pains. There were some question marks about health injuries when the schedule came out. So I wasn't quite sure exactly what the roster was going to look like. But I had them losing week 4 in Arizona in part because Arizona's added a bunch of young talent this offseason and a couple of key free agents on defense where they needed to make some changes. Really didn't make any changes on offense now that, that's something we didn't know when I did this the first time, and now we do. but also just thought Thursday Night Football in Arizona, place is going to be going crazy. This is going to be their Super Bowl. This is one of those games they circled on their schedule. So I thought, okay, maybe we drop that one. And then the Tampa Bay one was simply because I think they're going to be really good. I do. I think they're going to be really, really good. So I went through again, and I didn't like crunch a bunch of analytics. I just, I like to do these things by feel and just, my own, top of my head knowledge. I made a couple of tweaks, and this is what it looks like now. They're going to win in week 2. I don't believe Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to carry that team. I don't think they did enough to surround him with dynamic talent, despite the trade for DK Metcalf. I don't think we know enough about their running game. We know they're going to be committed to it. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like. And I just believe, based on everything that I got to see throughout training camp and in the games, that this offense is going to be ready to start this season. That those growing pains I was concerned about earlier when I did my first projection, I'm not as concerned about those. This offense is extremely well coached. I think it's more talented overall than we've had in years. I think the running game is going to be a major factor. I think they're going to stick to it. It's going to be part of their identity. And I think it's going to be pretty damn dynamic. I do. And I think this offense is a perfect fit for Sam Darnold. He's going to be efficient. And I think the Seahawks defense is going to give them a chance to win every single week, no matter who they're going up against. And one of the reasons I also picked them to lose week 2, the first time around, was week 1 is going to be so emotional. That crowd, that stadium's going to be packed. Nosebleeds are $200 there right now, too. Nobody seems to be willing to sell their tickets, at least not as much as has happened in the past. I think there is a feeling among the fan base that there's something to get excited about and be excited about with this team. And also just not a great offseason or camp for the 49ers. Lots and lots of injuries. They already had a bunch of key defections of really good players. They still have a core of outstanding talents, but a tremendous amount of youth and uncertainty around that they are so dependent on their top 5 or 6 players. If any one of those guys gets hurt, it can completely change the course of their trajectory. And I feel like they've lost their edge a little bit. Some of the comments from Kyle Shanahan last week, they don't sound like that cocky, edgy team that they've been. And so, big week 1 win. Do you worry about a letdown, especially having to go back on the road? I don't worry about that as much now because I just think Mike McDonald, not that they aren't going to lay clunkers in his career. Sure they are. But I just think he does a really good job of preparing his team physically and mentally. So I think they win that game. And then you go to the very end of the year. And this one, like I was just trying to find a 13th win. They could very easily. And at first I thought they're just going to go down to Arizona and win that Thursday night game to go 4-0 to start the season. That story might make a little bit more sense, right? Because then you could still have them coming home. Tampa Bay just winning because they're really good. Maybe that first little letdown. But then I just thought all the reasons that I think Arizona's going to be fired up for this game and really pointing to it still exist. And at some point the tables will turn. I mean, we've been so good against Arizona recently, but especially in Arizona, that maybe this is their time. But I also found it very difficult to have us sweeping the 49ers. But if everything that I've just said is true, and this 49ers team that I think is very much in transition right now, like I would not, given where they are with youth, with defections, with, the how conservative they had to be this offseason because they had, the owner said, hey, we gotta kind of reel in our cash spending. We got to get that back on track so we can kind of move forward and start to grow again. It wouldn't have shocked me. I wouldn't have blamed John Lynch if he had traded Christian McCaffrey or tried to make another more dynamic move to kind of shuffle the roster a little bit and bring in a younger player. If they had done something like that, maybe they could have been in the Micah Parsons market. I just think that if all those things, if how I feel about this Seahawks team comes to fruition, if how I feel about this 49er team comes to fruition, I think there's a really good chance that the 49ers are not in the playoff chase by week 18. And that the Seahawks are going to be playing to, in this scenario, with this collection of wins and losses, they're going to be playing for seeding to potentially lock down the division if they haven't already. But even if they have, potentially a 1 or a 2 seed in the NFC. And so that week 18 game, like maybe there's so much on the line that it just changes my perception about our chances to win that game. Whereas the first time around, I thought, okay, the Niners are going to have a lot at stake as well. Maybe more so at stake, maybe to get into the playoffs. And sometimes the more desperate team, oftentimes in the NFL, the more desperate team wins. And so that gets them to 13-4 in my updated projection. I would call this the ceiling just because winning 14, 15, or 16 is so freaking hard in this league. There's a reason you don't see it very often. You have to be extremely good to win more than 13 games in this league. Plus, you have to be really lucky. You have to stay healthy, maybe atypically healthy. You probably have to have some injury help along the way and who you're playing. Maybe the starting quarterback's beat up or some key players. Going 13-4 is fucking hard. But this is a reflection of a couple of things. One, obviously, as I mentioned, how good I feel about this team. How balanced I think this team is. The defense, we know about. I think they're going to be in the top 5 range all season long. And yes, there's a chance they could finish as the top scoring defense in the league. I believe that to be true. They're going to give you a chance week in, week out. But I also think this offense is going to be able to run the football, sustain more drives, even out the time of possession battle, if not win it more often than not, something we haven't seen in the last several years. Be able to control the football, run the football, take time off the clock, get leads because of that. We've talked about this quite a bit the last couple of weeks. Like how great that was to watch that Kansas City game. Preseason game, I'm not saying that's an indication of how good the offense is going to be to start games in the regular season, but just you see the potential. And just even seeing it in a pretend game, there's a different feeling. The guys that were sitting around me at that game, we all just kept kind of looking at each other those first few drives like, we're not used to this. Like, that gives Mike McDonald all the advantages in the world to unload his playbook, his bag, as you'll say, and really get after teams and be aggressive. And also keep this offense out of situations where they have to run hurry up or 2-minute come from behind. That may not be their strength. Obvious passing downs or obvious passing situations down a couple of scores. I think they're going to be able to dictate things a little bit more on defense because the offense is going to be more consistent. If you can get Mike McDonald leads, they've got a chance to beat anybody in this league. And that's just generally how I feel about this team. I do feel like they can beat anyone in this league. All right, you guys, last chance to tell you about the phenomenal Labor Day sale by the fine folks over at Omaha Steak. If you get on over to their website right now, omahasteaks.com, you're going to get 50% off site-wide. That's on all their steaks, their chops, their burgers. They've got some other goodies in their menu as well. But also, as a listener or viewer of this program, you're going to get an extra $35 off with the promo code FOREVER at checkout. It's Labor Day weekend. It's a big time to barbecue, right? You're out with the family, or maybe you're just having people over because if you're like me, you want to avoid campgrounds on 3-day weekends because that's where everyone else goes. So maybe you're just doing it at home, right? I've been eating Omaha Steaks my entire life. They were a staple in my family when I was a kid. My parents would order them. They'd show up at the door on a regular basis. And just last year, my brother surprised me on my birthday by ordering me a case of steaks. They showed up on my doorstep when I wasn't expecting. A variety of cuts. There were some fillets in there, really nice ribeye, some New York strip, whatever mouthfeel, whatever tenderness, whatever preferred cut you have, you can find them at Omaha Steaks, and they are all certified USDA. I like to saute a little bit of mushrooms and onions and garlic and butter, a little white wine to put on top of mine. But these steaks are such good quality, you can just a little salt and pepper, maybe a little garlic salt, and they are going to be terrific. Again, go to omahasteaks.com. You're going to get 50% off site-wide for their Labor Day sale, but for being a viewer of Seahawks Forever at checkout, use the promo code FOREVER for $35 additional off. All right, so just to wrap things up, and as a reminder, I now have them going 13-4. I would call this their ceiling. I know it's incredibly optimistic, and I know the math doesn't math with what fans and a lot of analysts think about their own team, because I've always used this analogy in the past, but I'll use it again real quick in case you haven't heard it before. When I used to love boxing, back when boxing actually was boxing, and I always was aware of the fact that I would enter into any big fight with a favorite fighter. And there's just a natural inclination, it's human nature, to focus on the subject of whatever competition you love, you have an affinity for, passion for, that you're a fan of. And so you have a favorite fighter. And so you're watching that fighter in a match, and so you're judging them based on everything they do. Oh, he landed that punch. Oh, that was a nice jab. He landed. You're not watching it objectively from a wide angle view. You're focusing on the one fighter. And as fans, that's what we do with our teams, right? We know what we like about our teams. And sometimes our objectivity is skewed because we either don't know our opponents well enough or we just don't respect them enough. And so it's easy to toss around numbers like this. This is a 12-win team. This is a 13-win team, when it's not easy to achieve. I just feel so good about this team. And I think we talked about it on the Seahawks Syndicate show the other day. Like, is this team too young? I don't think so. I think they have the perfect blend of experience, veteran leadership, and youth. Again, 12 rookies, 32 rookie contracts on this roster. Because youth in the NFL brings enthusiasm, desire. Like, you're not worried about getting hurt. You're trying to get paid. You're trying to get to that second contract. Mike Holmgren used to always say he regrets as a GM that he spent so much free agency money on defense. Said if he could do it again, he would have done that on offense, because on offense you need chemistry and continuity and a steady presence. On defense, you want young, hungry guys who haven't been paid yet. Well, there's a bunch of those on this roster. But the veterans they have acquired, they've done it in a very intentional way for specific qualities and characteristics of those players. But they've sprinkled them throughout the position groups as well, right? Cooper Kupp brings all of his veteran expertise and wisdom to the receiver group and just the offense in general, because that offensive line is so young. Sam Darnold even has been through a lot of trials and tribulations in this league and has played for a number of teams and started a lot of games and been through some ups and downs. It was 8th year in the league, I think. And then on defense, right, you've got Leonard Williams, DeMarcus Lawrence up front. You've got Ernest Jones now, even though he's only 20, just turned 26. You know, he's on his second contract. He's played Mike. He's been the leader, the green dot guy. You got Julian Love and kind of that veteran experience. And so I like the mix. And I think it's a bunch of young guys. Another baseball analogy. Jerry DiPoto used to always talk about at the beginning. I know that's kind of a sore subject. Maybe this isn't the best analogy I should be bringing up right now. But at the beginning of the rebuild, he would always talk about how when the talent that you have as an organization begins to crest It's a word he always used to use. He would say that's when you go get that one player to add to it, or you add something to the mix. Again, probably a terrible analogy. One of their worst losses of the year last year. I don't know what to make of that team. But my point being that it happens in other sports too. He's not the first one to talk about it. And we see it. And I feel like this team, so many of those players, 32 on their rookie deals, are players in the third or fourth year of their rookie deals. Like, they're ready to take another step. That's when we see a lot of players really pop in this league. And they're also trying to get their second contract. There's a lot of hunger on this team. There's also a lot of chip. There's a lot of chips on a lot of shoulders because we're being picked to finish third and fourth in the division, despite all of the positives that we can list. They're going to feel disrespected in most weeks. They're going to, they know. They see NFL Network and all the analysts pick the games, and they see it on ESPN, and they see it on social media. They believe in themselves. They also really like their head coach and believe in him, and I think there's so much unity and alignment in this coaching staff in how to prepare this team. And I think with the changes they made on offense in the offseason, I think the offense is going to mirror the defense more, and you're going to see more cohesion. I'm not going to say Super Bowl. Let's play a few games. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. This is just a reflection of part of its schedule too. Great fortune this year. If they were playing the NFC North and the AFC North this year, maybe I'd be saying 11-6, but still feel just as good about the team. But playing the NFC South and the AFC South is going to give them opportunities, as it will every other team in the division. I get that. I just feel that good about this team. And I think now, as we sit here today, the questions surrounding the 49ers and the Rams with Matthew Stafford's health issue you can't ignore them. They're significant. You have to take them into consideration. Cardinals, still don't know what to expect out of them. Could they win the division? Sure, I suppose so. But as long as Kyler Murray's their starting quarterback, I'm never going to get behind predictions of them doing things like that. I just don't believe he's that guy. And so you put all those things together, and that's how I feel right now. Obviously, it's in a vacuum. Obviously, injuries can happen. Let's hope they don't. All right, once again, I will be back up and running by Thursday at the latest. Taking off tomorrow morning. Going to try and push through pretty hard the first couple days. My goal is to pull in sometime Wednesday. Give me a day to set up. Give me a day to get reacquainted. And then Thursday, start to talk about the 49er game. And also on Friday the 5th, right? Because the Seahawks play on Sunday the 7th. Look for the debut of the NFC West mixtape, myself and Rob Guerrera from the Gold Standard Network. He's a 49er guy. I'm a Seahawks guy. We're going to take a weekly look at the division, and we're going to start on that Friday by looking ahead to week one, previewing the Seahawks and 49ers, obviously, as well as taking a look at the Cardinals and the Rams and how we think they're going to do in week one. Really excited about that. Love working with Rob, and that's going to be a fun opportunity to take a look around the division on a weekly basis, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, follow me at Seahawks Forever on Twitter. If anything should happen while I'm out on the road, I'll certainly be able to react to it there. And yeah, good luck in your fantasy football drafts this weekend. If you need a little help deciding which Seahawks to put some stock into, check out the episode I did yesterday with Johnny Tuma, fantasy analyst and expert. Really had some great stuff. Plan to have him on more often. Fantasy football shows don't get as many views because not as many of you are into it, but it's a service I'm going to provide because I'm just as passionate about fantasy football as I am about real football. Well, that's a ridiculous saying. So on that note, because I've only had a half a cup of coffee, I'm going to get out of here, tear all this down, pack it up, get on the road. Have a lovely weekend. Be safe. Forever and always go Hawks. We'll see you in a few days. Let's get this season started. Let's go.